Perhaps all of you will encounter voters who say, "I like your ideas very much, but you have no chance of winning. Why should I vote for you? Wouldn't that be wasting my vote, throwing my vote away?" What's your response to that? Mr. Barnett.
My response is, don't let anybody tell you that your vote is wasted when you make it. No one owns your vote. No one owns you. You're an American citizen, and it's your right. It's your responsibility to vote for the person that has and upholds the ideals that you uphold. It's your responsibility to look at the situation of this country and actually choose the right person for the job that you're about to elect them for. Don't let anyone tell you that an establishment candidate is your only choice, and that it's the real and feasible choice, because it's not. Feasibly, they're taking this country to hell in a handbasket. Realistically, the only chance we have is somebody outside of the establishment. That's where your vote belongs. And if you cast it, it's never wasted.
Mr. Chlapowski.
I think, again, if a person exercises their choice and votes for their candidate who agrees with them, your vote is never wasted. And so you need to, I didn't mute my phone. and so you need to choose the candidate who best represents you, and it's never a wasted vote in this regard.
Mr. Cross.
We don't need a tax and spend liberal like Obama. We don't need a don't tax and spend conservative like the administration before Obama. Both of those lead us to ruin. And we have to recognize that those are the wasted votes. And we have to stand up and say, well, don't just do it because it's something that you're entitled to do. We need to get on board and say, okay, we need a change. Let's not waste our vote. Let's vote for the Reform Party and have the change we need to set this country back on track.
1 minute follow-up, Mr. Barnett.
I don't really think I need a rebuttal.
Mr. Chlapowski.
I just comment, the founding fathers, envisioned a country where there were more than two parties. And that's why they structured the country the way they did and the Constitution the way they did. And so this is the intent to give a broader voice to the people, and they should exercise that right.
Mr. Cross.
In other parts of the country, they vote and they get percentage representations based on parties. We don't. It's a win or lose. It's a vote for Republican or vote for Democrat. Those stakes are too high as we have it now. We need to have a strong third party that's moderate more and in the middle. Because right now, the way it is, the people that vote, if you vote Democrat, if you vote Republican, you got a chance of totally losing Medicare, because they're against Medicare. And it was just announced that Mitt Romney's vice president is going to be Paul Ryan, who's totally opposed to Medicare. He wants a private system that to provide some subsidy for a time being, and that would disappear. If you want to vote Democrat, you would still have Medicare. They probably wouldn't touch it, and they'd gut the military. Those two extremes we can't stand anymore.
One of the most far-reaching effects of being president is appointing judges to federal courts, most notably Supreme Court justices, who serve for life, often influence American law for decades. 4 of the 9 justices are in their 70s, and so there is a reasonably good chance that at least one of them, if not more, would retire within the next 4 years, thus creating 1 or more vacancies on the nation's highest court. What criteria would you use when selecting candidates for the Supreme Court and for all of the federal courts in general? Mr. Cross.
That they have a history of honor in their proceedings, that they proceed rapidly and are effective, handle a lot of cases, because the process is too slow right now for the whole judicial system, and that the system would be one in which the judges would recognize that they are to interpret the law, not that they sit on the bench and think they're gods and that they make laws. So I would look at those criteria and look at people that are judges who have shown a record of accomplishment and that are well respected.
Mr. Chlapowski.
I think the judges should, again, interpret according to the Constitution and the intent that was there. I think they need to, again, facilitate and make the system work faster and more efficiently, as Mr. Cross has said. And when you look at ethics and the review of these judges in time, I think a lifetime appointment is something that should be reviewed in light of longevity in today's world versus longevity in the Founding Fathers' time. And I think there should be not service for life, but service after review, after a given interval.
Mr. Barnett.
The first thing I would do is I'd ask them if they would support term limitations. I don't think they need to be there for life. Secondly, I'd look back over their cases and see how they ruled on these cases. Do they show favoritism? Is it something that I can actually agree with? Do I think that they're going to be fair and unbiased? We have to have judges that actually look at the rule of law here in the U.S. again, not the interpretation or precedents. We are a country of laws, and that's what we need to sustain. So my characteristic or my character traits for judges is, do you believe in the rule of law, or are you going to try to interpret it to benefit whichever side you're on? It's got to be unbiased, and that is what I would go by.
1 minute follow-up, Mr. Cross.
I would say that what we have now, that's a terrible situation, is because of the two-party system becoming so antagonistic, is we end up with Republican judges and Democratic judges, and you can pretty much pick who's going to choose what all the way up to the Supreme Court most of the time. I think we need to get away from that politics for judges. Judges should be a matter, as the other gentlemen have said, of ethics, honor, and integrity as choices, and not what political party they've been aligned in over the years.
Mr. Chlapowski.
I agree with Mr. Cross' statement, and it should be through record and their integrity, and not generating laws, but interpreting according to the Constitution and, as Mr. Barnett's, the rule of law.
Mr. Barnett.
And one more thing to add, we really need to look at just this last ruling that they had with Obamacare, or I'm sorry, the Health Care Act. I don't want to use the Obamacare name, but now we have them actually cutting out portions of law and creating new laws. We have to make sure that that is not what's taking place anymore. It's a yes or no. Is it legal or lawful, or is it not? We can't have them say, well, we don't think it's lawful in the way that he intended it, but it's lawful in the way that we're going to interpret it now. Again, we have got to stand by the rule of law and not on a bias.